Hi, this is Andrew Sears with City Vision University, and in this lesson, I'm going to talk about how do you have successful mentoring meetings. So, in our mentored ministry and leadership course, we've really set up a structure where you develop mentoring goals, and ultimately you want to focus on your growth needs, but it can't be entirely self-centered. You need to look at what are the strengths of your mentor. What you're really looking for is what is that intersection. So you may say, you know what, I want to learn fundraising. Well, if you chose a mentor that doesn't know fundraising, they're not going to be able to help you. And then the other is, can you find books that are at the intersection? So in many ways, this might start with your needs, and then you think about a mentor who can help you grow in the domains you need to grow in. And then you select books that kind of are at the intersection of those. So some of the principles to have a successful meeting is send your mentor your mentoring goals worksheet. So you're going to develop that in the course, and you ask them to read through it before your first meeting. So that's going to provide a wealth of material. Now, our courses are 8 weeks. You can repeat them up to 2 times, undergrad or once graduate. But what this will do is by doing that worksheet thoroughly and having them read through it, honestly, it'll speed things up. It'll be like you had 5 meetings, because a lot of times you're just getting to know each other. It will accelerate that process. So drafting an agenda, you don't want to create too much structure so it becomes a barrier, because then that can feel awkward. Like instead of relating to your mentor, you're just sitting here, okay, here's agenda item number 13, and we got to hurry up and get through my whole agenda. But you want to have a natural mentoring relationship. You want to go there with some intentionality of, if you go to a mentoring meeting and your mentor says, what are you looking for out of this? And you say, I don't know. You've kind of wasted their time and your time. So be prepared. And be sure you're putting in the effort to be a good mentee. A lot of our mentors are these are very senior people that a lot of people would seek them out to be mentored by them. So, respect their time, and show that you value your mentor's time as if they were a highly paid consultant. I went to have some leadership development, and I was paying a lot for the person's time, and I made very good use of that executive mentoring. But I would encourage you to view it at the same time. So some potential agenda items for your first meeting. So, you can discuss your mentoring goals worksheet. You can ask questions to get to know your mentor. What are their backgrounds, their strengths. I would encourage, if you can look up their backgrounds on LinkedIn, that always saves a lot of time. Strengths and domains, you might be able to learn from them the most. So, researching their background, sometimes it'll be on their website if they're, at an organization or something along those lines. You can discuss expectations for the mentor-mentee relationship. We set up a lot of that, like meeting every 2 weeks. The expectation is for 1 hour. Some mentors might be willing to go beyond that. But they've only agreed to go to 1 hour. And discuss anything you've learned from your book reading, and identify specific action items you'll take to move towards your goals. So part of a good meeting is you're reflecting on things, and you say, okay, here's what I'm going to do in the next couple weeks. So let me just use an example. So say you go to a mentor meeting and you want to grow in spiritual formation. So you're reading a book on spiritual formation, but this person is a giant on spiritual formation. They've mentored a lot of people in that, and you say, you know what? I have a really hard time praying because I just, I fall asleep, or I don't understand the purpose of it. And, this person may be big into prayer, and you try to understand really on a practical level why, what's going to move you to be able to do that as an example. Or it may be that for you, spiritual formation is really more around the concepts of being an emotionally healthy leader. So you work around some of those concepts, and you ask them, how do you mentor you, and then they'll, give you some suggestions, and you work on those. And that's what I've done whenever I've worked with mentors. They give me other ideas of things to read or things to look up, and I'll work on that. So, and then the last part is, how do you use books in mentoring? So, I used to just read a lot of books, but I would never take notes. And then I read a book on how do you learn effectively from books. And whenever I was in school, I always would take notes and things like that. But whenever I just learned for fun, I stopped doing that. So I started going back to taking notes. A lot of people like to highlight a book, take notes when reading. So you're going to have book summaries. It can be helpful to start on your book summary before you meet with a mentor, and where you're talking about the book summary and the application, and you could be writing the assignments as a tool to help you prepare for mentoring. You can prepare a list of items to discuss and questions, go deeper on specific topics, like I mentioned on spiritual formation, and you can try to get their advice on how to apply what you're learning in your context. So say it's fundraising. There's going to be barriers. You may not have the money you need to invest in fundraising. So they can help you work through, some of those barriers. Some mentors may read the book with you. Most probably won't. Some may have already, read the book. So it's really up to the mentor. So hopefully this is helpful. There's a lot of other videos that have great resources on how to prepare for mentoring meetings, but hopefully this is helpful for you. If you have additional questions, please ask your faculty member.